Hello and welcome to another Inscryption video. Today I have the post-commentary of the Pliers skip. This is of course with the deck build, available for Kaycee's mod. We're playing on 220, so max challenge, everything enabled. And we're going to skip the moon today. So with this deck we have ourselves a naughty little geck. We picked up a totem that contains the pack rat's sigil, a little trinket bearer. We have ourselves some fecundity gecks, so we have an endless supply of items. Each time we place a geck, we'll get a new item. And after playing enough gecks, we'll eventually find ourselves the items that we are looking for, of course this being pliers. So at the start of this fight I had one plier available. One plier is not enough, we need a total of 5. One for each point of damage on the scales at the start of the moon phase. Whether or not it's an oversight or not, the tilted scales effect doesn't trigger when you go to the next phase of a boss, so you need 5 pliers. If that ever gets changed and you're looking at this later on and that's been fixed, you might need 6, but for now, this run we needed 5. And to start out with, I just spammed gecks everywhere, understandably. Because gecks, they're being free, they can give us some damage on the board. The aim of the game here, in this first phase, is just to stall for a while. See if we can get ourselves the second set of pliers. Because ideally when we start moon phase, I'd like to have 3 of the pliers available. 2 straight away and then, empty space, perhaps we can get more. And the reason we need all these pliers built up in advance is because there's a little bit of a problem with the items. While most items can get played, obviously we don't have the additional items unlocked. I did that intentionally. But there is a little bit of an awkward problem. If you roll scissors, which are just as likely as pliers, you can't play them, because the moon is immune to being scissored. So that presents a little bit of a problem. So we need to get ourselves a second set of pliers before going to moon phase. And it then comes down to a bit of luck. If you have an infinite item combo, it could be gecks, it could be pack rats with fecundity and some sacrifices. You could even use field mice with a totem like this, and then give them undying or something. You just need a way of getting items refreshed. Once you've achieved that, you need to get lucky. And the way the item random rolls work is each turn the next deck you play is seeded for its item, then you play it, it rolls again. So if you want to do this, it might take a few tries. You might want to write down what item you get from each position. And it should be fine, Get to the moon doing as few actions as possible and then re-roll until you get 3 pliers as item rewards in between. And of course bring some sort of infinite block. I mean, you've got an item infinite, you surely have a block infinite as well. Just try not to beat the moon up too much or it might fall over. As for phase 2, I'd got myself a little confused when playing phase 2. I was worried about having a unit on the field that would one-shot the moon, because my damage is the hand tentacle. So it does damage equal to the amount of hands in your card. Cards in your hand, sorry. And the problem with that is, well, all these gecks have been giving me boulders and frozen possums. It's a lot of damage, and I completely forgot that I had a cat, even though I'm also playing it. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to cause a problem over here, because if I killed the moon, it would be a bit awkward. The goal is to skip the moon, after all, so I had to be a little careful with what we were doing. Obviously I have a pack rat here, this is quite funny. Pack rat being made redundant by the wonderful totem. Poor thing is not very useful anymore. Its sigil is being given to all my lizards for free. I played it anyway. Why not? We'll turn it into a gold nugget. It can feel good about itself eventually. And then for this intermediate section here, I was a bit puzzled. Obviously, if you wait too long, Leshy will go back to the start and he brings out the prospector pickaxe again. So all my units will turn into gold. And looking at this, obviously I bunged the lane up with a cat earlier, with the hook. And now, when all my things get turned into nuggets, I have a bit of an awkward problem. I don't have any damage, but Leshy has a bat. And that's quite the problem. It's dealt with. So looking at this, I'm a bit puzzled. I wondered if perhaps I've been stalling for a bit too long. And I look at my hand. Obviously it's getting quite large now, so it's a little bit awkward to work out what I'm doing. I'm trying to find cards amongst this giant pile. It's going to be a bit unyieldy, and it will only get worse when we go further on. So I throw down the mud turtle. That's able to win its 1v1 because it's got the shield, which is a really good sigil for if you have things like moose bucks, for example. If you put it on them, or direwolf or something, just high value units really love this shield. Just keeps them out of trouble. Mud turtle is, I kind of view it in the same way as field mice and pack rat. It's not something you want to use on its own. You want to put its sigil on something else. And then once you've moved its sigil, it becomes very useful. I use the hook to get the mantis to free up some space, because I realise that if I'm going to keep playing as slowly as this, I'm going to need some more damage. And the only way to get more damage is to, understandably, have more space freed up. And I can now, with the help of my mantis, bonk this bat. And finally I remember, yes, I have that little hand damage card. And I was looking for it through this giant pile of cards. It's quite annoying. I put a Gek down just now. I'm now looking for it again. I had some real difficulty finding anything here. This giant hand. I think I've flicked over it a few times before I ended up finding the poor thing. And then I had this little moment. Threw a mantis down to clear the line, because I want that cat to go away now. And then Leshy decides to show me the option I'm looking for. It gives me a brilliant idea by giving me another one of the hand reflection little dudes. And yeah, we're arriving somewhat near the end of the phase now. It took me a little while to figure out, yes, I was indeed looking for that. I think he even gave me a flying version of it, which is quite nice. I just had that little, once again, a moment of realisation, perhaps I should try actually doing something. And I went for an amalgam, that's 4 damage. But I needed more damage. Let's put the Gek down again. We clear this lane, get the opossum out of here. We'll now win. And then the prospector pickaxe comes out again. A little bit annoying. And I realise I don't have enough damage. So look at my hand. Look at my hand again. And then I finally realise, yes, Leshy gave me the hand reflection. 20 damage, oh, that's a lot of damage. With that moment of realisation, we arrive at the moon. Apparently, according to Leshy, it is a lot of value out of his moon. I don't think that's how I'd describe the moon. You know, if this was a 4-cost card, I probably wouldn't use it. It's unwieldily large, it doesn't really achieve much. It's only got 1 damage, and I think that's kind of the problem with the moon. Only doing 1 damage is not so impressive. Anyway, we've dropped our pliers, we've got 2 damage on the board, so we need 3 more. If we can get our hands on another 3 pliers, the moon can enjoy being miserable and lonely, and we'll forget it even exists. Poor thing. It tries so hard to be an end boss, but we're just gonna ignore it. Who cares about the moon? It's not gonna scare us. We have an unlimited supply of block, and that's probably the other things I'd say about the moon. I don't really understand how the moon is supposed to be a threat at this point. Like, the issue with the moon is it never gains a way to bypass really kind of basic things, like even undying. You can stall the moon out for maybe like 6 or 7 turns after you run out of squirrels to sack for your undying unit, because the moon just doesn't have a way to hit through things. Even if the moon clears the board completely with its attack, it doesn't get to strike again. And that kind of just stops the moon ever getting an opportunity to do anything. So here we go, I'm looking for looking for things. I realise I decide to want to give the moon a little bit of a feel-good moment. If we're going to abandon it, might as well have a bit of fun doing it. And as a reward for memeing on the moon a little, I get a pliers. So we now need 2 of these. 2 more pliers, and as you can see, into orbit. For some reason the moon doesn't absorb rabbits, even though they are identical to squirrels. I guess it's because they are a main deck card, it doesn't quite count the same. But I want to put my squirrels into orbit. All the ones that we've had out of our bottle, we'll set them free. Because we're not blowing the moon up anyway. And there we go, another pliers. Now we just need to get 1 more plier and then the moon be gone. Get ourselves turn skips. Well, turn skips are bad. Obviously we're trying not to damage the moon because we want to preserve that lovely little glistening white object in the sky. Don't want the moon to go anywhere. So I get some of these black goats out. Obviously these are things we've had in the bottle as well. The black goats in the bottle, not so interesting. Other things that are not so interesting is the moon gaining damage. It doesn't matter how big the number the moon has is, it's never a threat because it can't strike through my little gex. And we get ourselves scissors. Scissors was worrying. I did think perhaps we might get stuffed, you know. Get a second pair of scissors and then can't skip the moon. Because if you've got scissors, you can't use them, and you can't discard them either. There's no way to remove items. So if you end up with 2 pairs of scissors, you have to kill the moon. You can't skip it anymore. We get ourselves into the squirrel. I look at that. I had a moment thinking perhaps I should give that scroll to the moon as well. I'm just here for some gex. Need to find those pliers before we end up in trouble. End up getting an hourglass. Hourglass is no good because I need the moon to be smacking my gex out of the way for me. It clears my board so I can get more items. Looking at the moon, we have a total of 16 more gex before the moon will blow up. I reorganise my stuff, have a little look, throw out another gex, and there we go. We've achieved the pliers. And at last, the moon has been skipped. No end dialogue or anything, it just fades straight to black, and that's it. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again another time. Perhaps with, could be Stoats that I play next. But yeah, bye for now.